The star of today's new red video is the Moto Morini Allthrike, a 450 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine from CF Moto. This is the second new product for 2025 because just recently Stefano Cordara, our director, tested the Escape 1200 Maxi Enduro road bike with an extraordinary vocation for travel. Again, I'm posting the link above so you can follow along. But let's focus on the protagonist, category A2 engine, as I was saying, a 450 cubic centimeter parallel twin, 45 horsepower, 840 millimeter seat, a motorcycle concept dedicated to the 360-degree experience, increasingly present within every weekend activity, related to those who want to do adventuring. And with it, in my opinion, you can get to the heart of this experience and enjoy it 100%. The first features I'll tell you about right away, even before getting into the details of the test, are a fully adjustable fork, a monoshock adjustable in preload and rebound, 208 millimeters of travel in the front, 190 millimeters in the rear, and deactivatable traction control, deactivatable ABS, and a little something, and this is a very nice thing we found, the passenger seat can be raised for more comfort when traveling with a passenger, or lowered to perfectly follow the rider's line, making it easier to move longitudinally when off-road. In short, proof that here at Morini they take into particular consideration those who want to have adventures with these bikes. Steel frame, aluminum swing arm, 320 millimeter front disc, Hota Juan braking system, simple electronics, as I was saying, with deactivatable traction control and ABS deactivatable in off-road only at the rear. And weight, do you remember the weight? Was it 190 kilos in running order? 190 kilos dry? Dry weight 190 kilos, tank capacity 18.5 liters. Let's start road route and then a bit of off-road, even a ribbon of tarmac, and I'll tell you along the way how it performs first on the road, then off-road, and finally the conclusions. Follow us.
All clear, right? Moto Morini aims to go everywhere thanks to its lightweight, adjustable suspension and that sense of adventure that the Alltrike makes accessible both in terms of reach and price. Simple in its engineering, yet functional for tackling both asphalt and dirt roads, because that's exactly what people are looking for these days. Ideally just around the corner. It goes without saying that there's a 21-inch wheel at the front and an 18-inch at the rear, with dual homologation for the tire, available in both 70 and 80 aspect ratios, useful for finding a variety of tire options and uses.
All right, we've covered the first few kilometers with the Alltrike on the road, kilometers that were useful for understanding how the engine works, the balance of the suspension, and the behavior of the brakes. I'll start with the front wheel and work my way to the back, also touching on the riding position. I like the fork, it behaves well, even on the rough roads of the Oltrepo Pavese. It follows the contours well, it's never too harsh in its response, but it's not too soft either. The behavior of the front brake, a 320 millimeter disc. The lever action is always soft, and to get powerful, sharp braking, you have to pull the lever quite hard. Of course, a single disc has its objective limits, but in this case, I'd like a little more initial bite. I really like the solution for the windscreen, which is adjustable to 5 different levels. It's a really simple movement that gives you a little more protection from the wind. The instrumentation is simple and the menu is easy to navigate. The riding position, it's comfortable, and in this case, the handlebar management and the overall triangulation are nice. The 840 millimeter seat allows you to touch the ground very well. However, I will point out that there's a very short distance between the foot peg and the seat. Personally, after a few kilometers, I start to feel the rather tight angle it creates at the knee. And I've noted that it might be useful to consider an optional seat, maybe at 870 millimeters. That would allow you to sit that much higher, have your leg a bit more open, and therefore provide greater comfort. The engine's behavior, the throttle response is a little abrupt. I think it's partly due to some play in the transmission and partly to a slight on-off effect. Let's just say it's not buttery smooth on the initial throttle opening, but it's bearable and doesn't cause too much of an issue. The engine's power delivery, it's a 450 twin cylinder, is soft down low. To get a sharp response, like when you want to overtake, you still need to get it up to the 6,000 to 7,000 RPM mark, because that's where the engine starts to stretch its legs. vibrations. They're more noticeable on the levers than on the handlebars. You can feel them a little bit everywhere, but they're very, very, very light. I mean, on the foot pegs, thanks to the rather thick rubber inserts, you feel them relatively little, and on the seat, they're almost non-existent. The behavior of the rear brake is also very, very soft. The action is never aggressive. To get a quick response on par with the front brake, if you will, you have to be very, very firm with it. In this case as well, I've noted, and we'll verify this when we ride off-road, that it would be worth having a dual position option, as is often the case on adventure bikes. A dual position tip with an additional higher surface for when you're riding, standing up and off-road. The gearbox is quite precise, not the fastest. You can feel the step a little when shifting up or down, but it has never missed a gear. At this point, let's continue the ride. We'll move off-road, where we'll ride it with a substantially softer suspension setup compared to the one for road use, and we'll see how it performs. See you in a bit.
How many miles can you cover on asphalt? As many as you want, because the comfort is good, the wide seat is properly supported, there's decent wind protection, and you can equip it with a set of 3 cases. All features designed for travel, even with a passenger, aided by CF Moto's parallel twin engine, which on paper offers the right reliability even when the Alltrike moves onto rough terrain and the stresses increase significantly.
To make the test of the Morini X-Cape even more complete, the technicians from the Pavia-based brand, let's call it that, rightly decided to bring us to this splendid winding track with some rather extreme conditions to see how the bike is balanced in this context given the wet grass and the lack of grip. Because I'm convinced that whoever chooses this bike will get the urge to do a bit of light off-roading or some adventuring, you know, maybe turn down that dirt road that leads, as we always say, to the sea. So essentially, what did we find? The seat height is 840 millimeters, which we already mentioned in the spec sheet, which allows for excellent control and makes it easy to put your feet on the ground in any situation, even when the front end slips out a bit. There's a good rider triangle when standing on the pegs, though perhaps the handlebar is a little low, but you can fix that by adding some taller risers. The handlebar is also adjustable, by the way, so you can bring it closer for a more comfortable ride, especially on the road. But the good thing is that the braking system, while not overly powerful, has really good modulation. The rear could perhaps use a bit more bite, whereas the front, even when tested with the ABS on, allows you to tackle downhill sections on the kind of rough, uneven terrain we found on this track today, without the ABS kicking in. So it has a rather high intervention threshold, which makes the bike easy to manage even at low speeds. With a dry weight of 190 kilos, it's also very easy to maneuver. So when riding standing on the pegs, it's good, comfortable to ride through the markers, just like we've been doing now, but I think it's even better when you're tackling something a bit more technical and complicated. In terms of power delivery, perhaps it's not that it needs more horsepower, because what it has is more than enough. Rather, it needs better performance from the rear suspension, which struggles a bit to maintain rear wheel grip, especially on rough uphill sections of the course. Amidst all this, I should point out that the stock tires perhaps aren't that well suited for serious off-roading. The fork also performs more than respectably. With 208 millimeters of suspension travel, it allows you to tackle uneven terrain well, where the X-Cape handles itself quite decently. In this context, the clutch is also soft and quite adjustable. The engagement point is easy to manage when starting from a standstill. The gearbox in its own way also behaves correctly. I don't have anything particular to point out. It does its job, doesn't miss a gear. The engagement is precise. There's a useful tactile notch that lets you know when you're shifting to the next gear or a lower one. But other than that, it's all easy. That includes managing the menu on the display to navigate through the various chapters related to the traction control and ABS, so you can ride off-road. Let's continue, and then the conclusions.
There are few doubts about the sturdiness of the chassis. The steel frame and aluminum swing arms can handle bumps and potholes thanks to the solid suspension, so unexpected surprises and off-road riding won't scare anyone.
So to conclude, we've kind of come full circle. After riding the Moto Morini Escape 450 on the road in the Oltre Po Pavese region, a bit of off-roading, some gravel roads and a marked out track. This gave us the chance to clearly understand the path, the idea behind the project for this new mid-displacement A2 category adventure bike. First, the perceived lightness even in low-speed maneuvers, moving it off the center stand. So it's a very, very simple bike with the advantage of the 840mm seat height. I've said it several times, but I want to emphasize this feature. The engine is one we know, it's that 450 from CF Moto, which is generous in its own way. It's a small displacement engine, so don't expect exaggerated performance, but it's more than enough to have fun both on and off the road. For on-road riding, it has a decent corner entry speed, it's quite quick in changes of direction and has good stability. Let's just say it does everything well, you can't really complain. Some details, as I pointed out earlier, could be improved for both on-road and off-road riding. Parts that can be swapped out from the stock equipment, which would definitely improve the ride both on and off-road. I'm referring to the brake pads as well as the stock tires, which can definitely be improved upon. Okay, the version we tested, the standard version, there is also a plus version. Now in this case, it's equipped with hand guards, a heated seat and grips, which definitely make for a better ride. What's coming in terms of planned accessories? Side cases and a rear bag, the famous three-piece set, useful for those who decide to travel in style and have a great adventure, so you'll definitely have useful accessories for traveling. I'll finish with the prices. The version being tested, this one here costs 5,890 euros. The high-spec version, meaning with all those accessories I mentioned earlier, is 6,140 ex-dealership. If you want to know more about the new Alltrihike from Moto Morini 450, comment below, and we'll see you in the next video from Red, of course.